The root of most people's issues in life and the conundrum of what it is to be is when we... It's difficult to say anything, because if it's all Maya, if it's all illusion, if it's all a dream, then none of it's real. So what's the point? So we have, you see, there are tiers to consciousness. There are tiers of what it is to be a human being. And let's just say on one tier we have this spiritual religious thing where we're created by God or the cosmos, and we are infinite consciousness, and we just have an earth sojourn for whatever fucking reason, and there's all that, whatever pertains to that. Let's just say that that's the height, and then we're coming down into other metaphysical realms of how the human being was created, how the world was created. You know, we're coming down into the realms of all the gods vying for supremacy, with Yahweh and Allah and Vishnu and Krishna and Jesus and all these different sorts of things. We're coming down and down and down, and then we end up into the scientific realm, that it's simulation, it's hologram, it's the matrix, and then we go into the conspiratorial realm, that you know, there's nothing what meets the eye, there's nothing that's right about this place. It's run by the evil shapeshifters, or the demiurge, or the devil, or the jinn, or all that, and on 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 and on. And the more you delve into it, the more you find. Literally, you'll find stuff forever and ever and ever, and it just simply doesn't stop. So where do we stop? That's the thing. And so I'm just reading another comment from Jill Turner. And I'm going to read you this comment again because it's of value. And so it says this: P.S. I recoil when people say I am God, you are God. I would say I can have access to God, higher consciousness, if I work to get away from certain things and move towards others, which lead to the sweet spot. Peace and connection to that enigmatic mystery results. So okay, I recoil when people say I am God or you are God. Why? Because you're not comfortable with that, you're recoiling. Oh, that doesn't sit well with me. Well, what sits well with you then? I would say I can I have access to. So you're not thinking you're it, but you can have access to higher God, higher consciousness, if I work to get away from certain things and move towards others which lead to the sweet spot, peace and connection to that enigmatic mystery. Yes, if you become, let's say, Buddhist, if you do Buddhist practice, meditation, then you head towards that sweet spot. You head towards the nothingness. You head towards pure awareness. You head towards that realm which is deep within our consciousness, and we're outside of the ego, you see, because ego is a pesky place. It's very annoying, to say the least, and so if you're going to get peace in your life, you're not going to find it in the ego. So that's the first port of call. We have to get rid of the ego. We have to find how we can get outside of the ego, and so with spiritual practice we can do that, and you can pray to Jesus, Jesus, I love you, I love you, I love you, and all that. You can do that if you want to. You can beg to Allah, have mercy, have mercy, or have mercy, you know, 50 times a fucking day. You can do whatever you want to do, but whatever you are doing in those realms of thinking that there's something else out there, you're hypnotizing yourself. And that's what religions are. They're hypnosis, self-hypnosis. And in my brilliant book, I write about when I actually decided that I'm going to be hypnotizing myself with this Christ thing to see actually what happens to my mind and body. And in my brilliant book, you can read about that. But if you really want to know something which it isn't a fiction, it cannot be considered to be a fiction, because it just is. And that's the deepest of meditations, when you enter into the pure awareness. There is nothing there, people, except awareness of awareness. No knowledge or perception of anything else. If you can ever get your heads around that, if you are long time meditators, then you'll know what I'm speaking about. You enter into this space, and that space is most fundamental because it cannot be disproven. You go there and it is there, and you can go there multiple times. You can always go there, and I do always go there. That is the root of the human being. So that must be what we are. Everything else emanates out of that. And you could say, well, we are human beings. Well, if you build a fiction of something, then you could kid yourself that you're that. And again, what have we done since being human beings? We've kid ourselves that we're this and we're that, and we've got love from our hearts, and we've got hate from our hearts, and fear from our hearts, when we know nothing about the brain, and all these different sorts of things, people. So it's all kiddery, it's all delusion, it's all foolery. We really aren't equipped to be able to know anything about this reality. So you speak here of when you find that sweet spot. Well, that sweet spot is pure ignorance. It's pure bliss. It's the abyss. It's nothing. And I don't mean ignorance in a derogatory way. I mean ignorance in the way that you don't know anything when you're there. It's just isness. And so, but we can't live there. So what you go on to say is quantum physics told us at the Planck scale, consciousness is everything. But I don't live there. To me, that's like saying I don't really have a house. I live in energy. That is true if you look at it that way. But I think the whole point of this experience is to be what you've been created to be, a human. And as that, make the best experience of it you can. Yes, that is a perspective if you are not naturally a scientist or a philosopher or someone who is deeply always embedded in seeking whatever is possible to be sought out. Some of us just want to keep looking and looking and looking and looking and delving because we don't find it a problem. We're not out of sorts with it. We don't feel afraid because we realise that we're nothing. We're an illusion, and it's all Maya. It's all in the dream of God or whatever. We don't feel anything negative about that, so we continue pursuing it because that makes us feel good. You go on to say, finally, P.S. Just read first part. I think there's a difference between righteous anger and malevolent anger. Okay, over and out. So I'm not sure what first part you're speaking about. But again, thinking there's a difference between righteous anger and malevolent anger. Well, anger's anger, which we're entering into other semantics here now. Righteous anger. If I feel that I am right, then I bestow upon myself righteousness, and then I consider I have the right to be angry. But if I'm not bestowing righteousness upon myself, and I'm just being angry, then I don't have the right to be angry? Well, that doesn't make sense to me. You see, I just break down the semantics to see what that could possibly mean. If you're feeling angry, then you have a certain energy which very often results in verbal violence or physical violence of some manifestation. And so whether that's a righteous anger or a malevolent anger, it's just anger, and you just, I don't know, what exactly you're trying to do there. I wonder if there was any philosophers which would ever have considered that amongst their many conundrums of things, whether the anger is any different if it comes from a place which is projected from a particular mental state of being righteous, because if it's a malevolent anger, then we have if you see, if the anger manifests into something, if the anger doesn't manifest in anything, then it's just anger, and it's anger. If I just hate somebody, I hate you, and that's coming from a malevolent place. Why is it that I hate you? Or maybe I have a good reason for why I hate you, because you murdered my mother. I hate you. So that malevolent anger, could that be considered righteous? We get into sticky territory, don't we? What is righteous? Who's righteous? You see, if I feel I'm righteous for murdering the murder of my mother, well, are the courts going to consider that I was absolutely within my right and could be forgiven because I considered I was righteous? But you see, they're assuming the position of being righteous, aren't they? They're the judges, they're the courts, and so they all say, well, it is written that you shall not murder, and so you go to prison now for life. So look, all this stuff, people, it gets confusing. It gets confusing, doesn't it? And yeah, what am I saying here? I'm saying, look, people aren't comfortable with quantum physics. People aren't comfortable with the paranormal. They're not comfortable with the supernatural. They're not comfortable with a whole billion things. People just want to live in ignorance. They find themselves being in a human body, having a human experience with all this stuff going on which they can't make fucking head or tail of unless they just believe. So you have to believe. And this is the whole premise of belief and faith in the Bible. And again, in my brilliant book, I break down what's the difference between belief and faith, and what really do they mean. What really is this faith? Where does it get us? It gets us into a state of hypnosis. It gets us into a deep state of self-delusion. And so, oh my goodness, no wonder they want us to have faith. They want to put us all under a spell of delusion. They don't want us to be thinking that we're God and we have the essence of God within us. Goodness me, no. We get into a can of worms everywhere we look, people. Every single avenue we look, we get into a fucking can of worms. So, for those of you watching my videos, you are suffering and you're looking for an answer to your suffering. You're looking to get some resolve on your suffering. And if you had childhood issues, then maybe you're looking to, absolve yourself from any guilt that you've got. Maybe you want to try and work out the psyche or the person that persecuted you or traumatized you, this, that and the other. So you're looking for answers. But like all these things, it depends where you're looking. You can look here, you can look there, you can look everywhere. But you probably be looking in the wrong places, because at the end of the day, you see, I could say that, I've learned quite a lot about psychology, and, how I've managed, death of my mother, and why she considered it was necessary for her to take her life, and we could rationalise all these things. And what would that mean to me? I'd get some sort of rational application to it. Would it give me comfort? Would it absolve me or relieve me from my inner feelings about that? Or would I have to go another way? Would I have to go like the Buddhist way of acceptance and just try to rise above that and just consider that it's all now? It's all about being now. That was in the past. Past is an illusion. It's not now. It's not happening now, because now it's happening now. So just imagine that never actually happened. Why drag that baggage with you? So there's that perspective, isn't there, from the Buddhist? So then you go inside and you find this peace, because you block out everything and you deny the ego. But then you could say, oh, well, you're going to go the Christian route and you're going to forgive. Oh, and you're going to have compassion. Well, yes, my father, well, he was this and this, that, and he murdered my mother and blah, 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 blah. Or some bloke down the street murdered my mother. Whatever we could say about these things. And it's kind of like, oh, okay, so could I get release from being compassionate? Maybe. Could I get release from just being present and not delving into the past? Maybe. Could I get relief by consulting a psychologist, a psychoanalyst to regress me and to help me through my unresolved emotions? Possibly. Could I get release from being hypnotized to go back to that time and to relive that scenario and change it, like the Mandela effect? That's possible. We can go and do that. Works to some degree. Oh, we can do a whole billion things. What are you going to do? What are we going to do? You choose. The world's your oyster. Maybe we can choose. Maybe we can't choose. Maybe we're just programmed and we could never choose that option. How many people could choose the meditation option? Because the vast majority of people can't actually meditate. They don't have the constitution for it. They don't have the deep inner strength or the connection. I mean, with me, it was never a strength. It was never something I forced myself into doing. From the instant I started to meditate, I just fell into it. And I was like, this has been there all that time. It's a space. It's a beautiful, still space with nothing going on. Fucking incredible. And so I've done it every day since for the past 16 years. Many people don't have that option. So then they maybe go to see a therapist to do that. Or they go and see a hypnotist to see if the hypnotist can plant a seed in their minds which eliminates that memory. You know, there's all different sorts of avenues, isn't it? But from what I'm gathering, from what Jill has said, and lots of you find yourself in the human body, and it's kind of like, oh, fucking quantum physics and spirituality, this and the other. What the fuck am I going to do? I feel anxious here, I feel suffering, I feel fear. How can I get a resolve on that? So you start reading and learning. It's kind of like, oh, okay, a little bit of this, oh, okay, a little bit of that. But, you know, I think if you just live very, very simple lives, like I'm doing now, look, if I went out into the world, can you imagine how many videos I would make? I would have a video with every single encounter that I came upon. That's my disposition, that's my obsession, that's my fucking curse, I suppose. What's going on? Why is it I'm doing this endlessly? This is the third video today. I could do it all through every day. You know, there comes a point where I've just got to say, stop it now. Stop it. Mind, close down, then just go into a meditation or pick up my guitar and do something else. But I just have these thoughts, and there's just a billion things that you know, I'm compelled to say. But the secret of life, from my perspective, that how I've always found the greatest joy is just keeping it very, very simple. So living alone keeps it really simple. I don't need nobody in my life. Trust me. I barely even need a single friend to converse with. In actual fact, I don't need a friend, but, you know, friends come to me. They have a way of coming to me. And it's kind of like, unless I shut up all the fucking doors and you know, delete them from my phone or don't give them my number and all this sort of stuff, then, you know, there's going to be some friends around. And I can't say that I don't enjoy certain interactions. But not too many, because it gets too confusing, because there's too much to think about, there's too much to resolve, there's too much to analyse, you see. So if I went out into the world, this is what I'm telling my therapist, this is what I tell the government, don't be fucking phoning me up asking me what I've done to find fucking slave labour, you fools. You've got no fucking idea what's going on inside here, inside the mind of God. And so, you know, life is complex. But when I'm walking out in the nature and the sun's on my body and feeling beautiful, and I don't know, sometimes I could have some shrimp, sometimes I could have some beer, sometimes I'll meditate, sometimes I'll do some DMT, sometimes I'll just get high on the environment and all sorts of stuff. Well, that is my default setting. But of course, we can't live like that all the time. We have to go to the supermarket, and then when we're in the supermarket, you get a surly, disinterested, disgruntled cashier that, you know, looks at you like he or she's chewing on fucking wasps, or may even dare to comment on this, that and the other. And then you start thinking shit. And, you know, the other day I'm walking back from the gym and there's a car parked halfway on the pavement, but there's room for 2 people to get through very comfortably. But there's an old woman, she starts walking towards me and I'm walking, and she stands over real purposely, to let me through like I'm a lord. And I thought, well, that's completely unnecessary. There's room enough for 2. And that's why I just kept walking and didn't offer her the same courtesy to throw petals down on the floor so she could walk through. But when I walked through, she went like this to me. And she went, "Thank you." And I said, there was plenty of room for both of us. You're not that big, and nor am I. And she went, shrunk back under her fucking stone. And then I'm thinking, fucking hell, no wonder I despise the pink motherfuckers. They're everywhere with their stupid fucking small minds that think the world should be like their stupid fucking thoughts. And it just isn't. So everyone's projecting, because they think their world is the world. It's like my sister. She thinks the world is everything inside her head. And she knows this and she knows that, and this is that and that's wrong, and you're this and I'm that, and oh my goodness. She doesn't have any concept at all that she's just one shard of fucking consciousness. And everybody sees and feels similar sort of fucking shit. No, her world's the only fucking world and everybody else is in it. It's incredible being a human being. I'm aghast every day. I'm like, this is just fucking so bizarre. Wow. I can see why I came here. I'm having a fucking blast, I'm telling you. I'm having a fucking blast. So some people just want to keep it simple, for many, many reasons. They're too lazy, they're too afraid, they're naturally too weak, or I don't know, they could be even super strong and just want to get away from everybody, like me. You know, I'm fucking... You know, if I went out into the city, I could deal with all this fucking city stuff. I could see people for what they are, all the scum, and there's a few fucking, you know, shards of pure God conscious amongst them, very, very few. But I could deal with all that, but do I want to? What would be the ramifications of that? If I went into employment, I'd be analysing everybody. I'd be completely reconfiguring the whole fucking business, because I'd see through all the fucking flaws and all the crap and this, that and the other. Or I'd see how they're manipulating, I'd see how they're conniving, I'd see what levels of deceptions, I'd see it all. I'm like Lucy, when she's took that package and it breaks in her stomach and she starts to see every fucking thing. Like the Matrix, I just see all the fucking digits, people. I see the binary, I see it all going on. And when you're a seer, you see, truly I say to you, you know, you got to remove the scales from your eyes, and then you'll see. I'm a seer. Sometimes I wish I wasn't. I wonder what my life would be if I wasn't. Maybe I'd be a chicken packer, and I'd be proud. I'm packing chickens for my fellow man, and I feel important. I feel like an important little cog in the wheel of the machinery. Yes. And I'd stand next to other chicken packers and we'd be talking about how good we are at packing chickens. Or maybe we'd be talking about her indoors or him indoors. Pack, pack, pack. Possibilities are endless, people. Maybe in another life. Anyway, have a great day. I've got things to do.